What's up? I'm Adam Hoge. This is Bears Mock Draft 2.0, and we got a lot to discuss as the draft gets closer and closer. But first, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. We have Bears content for you all year long, every single day. This is where you want to get it, so please hit subscribe. Also, if you become a CHGO diehard, you get access to Fran Duffy, our draft analyst at All City. All of his notes, all of his information, his entire database, you get access to it as a diehard. So go subscribe, become a diehard right now. allchgo.com/diehard is where you go, and you can become a diehard right now. It's an incredible value, all the draft information you need. But a lot has happened since we did Bears Mock Draft 1.0. The Combine came and went. Free agency came and went. A lot of changes. And Ryan Poles, the general manager, said the entire draft board is open now that the Bears have added to their offensive and defensive lines, especially on the interior. And I agree. So let's discuss a scenario that I know a lot of fans want to talk about, and that is the idea of drafting Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty should he fall to number 10. Again, these are thought exercises as we go through these mock drafts to talk about different scenarios and different prospects. So I'm not necessarily saying I'm all in on the idea of taking Ashton Jeanty, but let's discuss it. So with the first pick, number 10 overall, Ashton Jeanty falls to the Bears. And part of the reason why I think this will be hard for the Bears to pass on him is because he could potentially address the idea that the Bears are drafting both the best player available and for need, because they do need to address running back. They do need help in that room. And theoretically, depending on who's off the board at that point, he could be their best player available on their draft board at that time. That's why I'm taking this seriously should he actually fall. The part I doubt is that Jeanty will actually fall to 10. But if he is there, I think the Bears would have to seriously consider it. This is a really good running back that I probably wouldn't put quite in the same category as Saquon Barkley, because I don't know that he's as good in any category as Barkley. But Barkley also went number 2 overall. We're talking about number 10 overall. And the reality is Jeanty has a little bit of everything. He has speed. He has change of direction. He has outstanding vision, and he's tough as hell. He breaks a lot of tackles. It is very rare for running backs to be able to check all of those boxes, which is why he is going to probably be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. So if he falls to number 10, I think it'd be really hard for the Bears to pass on him. Let's go to pick number 2 for the Bears. It's number 39 overall in the second round. This is another pick they got from the Carolina Panthers in that big trade a couple years ago. And we're going to address another area of need. Xavier Watts, safety from Notre Dame, 5'10", 3/4, 204 pounds. Safety is an interesting need for the Bears because they technically have 2 starters there. But one of those guys is Jaquan Brisker, who's struggling to stay healthy. And the other one is Kevin Byard, who is probably only going to be around for another year. So this is an underrated need for the Bears, one they should probably look at should the right player be available. And to me, Xavier Watts is very interesting because he is a true center field safety. He's a former wide receiver who still plays like one. A lot of times, ex-wide receivers switch to defense because their hands are terrible. Well, Watts shows you time and time again that he can still make incredible plays on the ball. And I think that his ability to perhaps come into Dennis Allen's defense and be that type of guy that's consistently getting takeaways on the back end would be very, very intriguing. So I like him in the second round. Moving down, 2 more picks. Number 41, also in the second round, Arante Ursery from Minnesota, 6'6" and a quarter, 331 pounds. If I wanted a plug-and-play left tackle, I would probably not take Ursery. But those guys go in the top 10. We're talking about second round here at this point. And Ursery's still a little bit new to the game, but he has the athleticism. He has the experience at left tackle. And I think he just needs to clean up a couple technique things here because he gets a little grabby at times. But the profile is there. The athleticism is there. The size is there. And I think he'd be good enough immediately to at least be thrown into a competition with Braxton Jones and Karan Amagaji this summer, which is exactly what the Bears are going to be looking for. He wouldn't be drafted at 41 to be like, dude, you got to go play week 1. But he would get the opportunity to earn that. And I think that he's an interesting prospect to think about there at that spot if they don't address tackle in the first round. And I think it's more likely wherever he ends up, he's going to end up playing a decent amount in 2025, even if he's not a starter. All right, let's move to the third round. Number 72, one of my favorite prospects in the entire draft. Now, I'll get accused here of overdrafting him a little bit in this spot. But at the end of the day, if he ends up being a really good player, it doesn't matter. And I think, especially because the Bears don't have a fourth-round pick at this point, if they want to get C.J. West, defensive tackle out of Indiana, they're going to have to take him in this spot, and I like him a lot. I'd be totally fine with C.J. West here in the third round. 6'1" and an 8, so he's not the tallest defensive tackle, but he's one of those guys where I actually think that works to his advantage. 316 pounds, he's a big guy, maybe more of a 1 technique than a 3 technique in that spot, but somebody who can instantly go in the rotation on the Bears defensive line. He is compact. He's just one of those electric bowling balls up front that consistently shoots the A gap, shoots the B gap when he's out there. And I just think when you watch tape, offensive linemen struggle with his quickness, and then they fail to recover because he's also so big. So once he gets the edge on you, he's still strong enough to go through you, even though he's only 6'1". So I think he's capable of being an instant rotational lineman for the Bears. He gives you some depth behind Andrew Billings as well at the 1 technique. And he happens to be a Chicago area kid. He actually played with J.J. McCarthy at Nazareth Academy, Chicago Catholic League guy who started his career in college at Kent State and then transferred to that really good Indiana team last year. I like C.J. West a lot. Somebody to definitely keep an eye on. All right, we'll stay in the Big Ten as we jump to the 5th round. And another perhaps underrated need, especially after Jack Sanborn left in free agency. We're going to talk about linebacker. Kobe King from Penn State, who's 6'3", 236 pounds. And I just don't feel great about the Bears linebacker situation right now behind Tremaine Edmonds and behind TJ Edwards. I think adding to that spot in the draft is something the Bears should think about. To me, Kobe King is very similar to Sanborn in that I think he has a high floor, who's already strong against the run, might struggle in pass coverage a little bit because he's not the most athletic linebacker in the draft, but he's a smart player with high instincts who finds the ball, gets around the ball. And so if you're asking him as a rookie if he could contribute as a Sam linebacker in base downs on defense, I think he can do that, and also he's going to be a pretty good special teams player. So in the 5th round, I think Kobe King from Penn State is somebody to keep an eye on. All right, we wrap it up with 2 7th-round picks. Remember, the Bears don't have a 6th-rounder anymore after the Jonah Jackson trade. I'm going to introduce you to maybe a prospect you haven't heard of. This pick, 233, acquired from the Cleveland Browns last year. And looking at an FCS-level wide receiver, Ashton Chisholm III from Eastern Washington, 5'10" and an 8, so he's a little bit undersized, 195. But this is somebody who put up incredible numbers at the FCS level. He is a volume receiver, at least was at the college level. He's a crafty, pretty damn good route runner who doesn't necessarily have top-end speed. Probably not going to test off the charts, which is why I think he'll be available later in the draft. But when you watch him, even though he's a little over 5'10", he's one of those guys that plays bigger than that, plays at least like a 6-footer, catches a lot of 50-50 balls. Like I said, he knows how to get open. He finds soft spots in zone. And despite not having top-end speed, he's really crafty after the catch, too, in always being able to pick up positive yardage, kind of a sneaky yak guy as well after the catch. So the top-end speed will be a question mark. The fact he's coming from the FCS level will probably cost him a little bit. But I think for somebody who probably has a ceiling of being a pretty consistent number 3 wide receiver, and he also has punt return experience too, I think in the 7th round, Ashton Chisholm III is definitely somebody that the Bears should keep an eye on. And finally, with the last pick, 240, this was a pick the Bears got from the Cincinnati Bengals, also 7th rounder. Looking at a guy at cornerback, Corey Black from Oklahoma State, 5'11", 3/4, 190. He was actually snubbed from the NFL Combine this year, which was pretty surprising. But at Big 12 Pro Day, he really impressed with a 4.35 40 time and a 39-inch vertical. So the athleticism is still there. He's an older prospect. I thought he got better every single year, though, at Oklahoma State. Big question coming into 2024 was he did not have a single interception in college at that point. It's always a red flag for me, but he answered those questions because he picked off 3 balls last year in this 2024 season. So good size and speed at minimum, should be a reliable tackler on special teams. So in the 7th round, I think Corey Black has a decently high floor to go and grab him with the Bears' last pick. So there you have it. 7 picks for the Chicago Bears now after the moves they made in free agency. And still a lot of time to continue to break down these prospects. Maybe there'll still be some more moves. You know, the Bears will probably move around on draft day as well. But this was a good opportunity to look at what the draft might look like should the Bears draft Ashton Jeanty. Remember, hit subscribe, hit that like button. Tune in to CHGO Bears Monday through Friday right here on CHGO and become a diehard. Get Fran Duffy's draft guide. It is outstanding.
We all silly like the mayor.